All right, guys. Another Birds breakdown here at the beautiful Chelsea Tavern. I'm a little bit behind today because I had a busy day yesterday. I don't know if you guys saw me. I was all over the place. I was on ESPN. They had me on Fox News. And I tell you what, I even got to show you guys this because this was something that was brought to my attention on the Philadelphia Inquirer. I know I don't ever read the front page. I'm only ever a sports guy. But I got on page 4 of the front page, that's yours truly. So I had a real busy day. We were all there. Me and 70,000 of my closest friends were all there rooting on the Birds. And we had a big day yesterday. Well, I tell you, I got a lot to talk about. Let me get to our first things. Adam Mechanical, for all your heating, air conditioning, and plumbing needs. They were the ones that hooked me up with those tickets, and I am so grateful for that. They really did take care of me. And if you have any problems with your heating, air conditioning, or plumbing, they will definitely take care of you. Zach, Seth, and all the crew over at Adam Mechanical are the best in the business. Definitely go take a look for them if you have any problems whatsoever in the Delaware Valley. Anyways, I had to get that out there because I really do appreciate everything they did for me on getting those tickets. And everybody saw me there yesterday. Everybody in the stadium got to hear my voice because we were loud and proud and pushing forward, and we did it. Then we beat them. Yes, we did. That's what I'm talking about. It was a great day, and like I said, 70,000 large. We're actually having a great time making sure that the Eagles knew that we were there. And the defense showed up. The offense had a pretty good game against a pretty good defense that was actually holding us up pretty well. They were moving the ball. They didn't finish as much as we liked, but that was a playoff atmosphere game, and that's what happens in the playoffs. You don't score as much as you like, but they were able to pull out the win, and the defense showed up. I tell you, I got a lot to talk about today. Let's get right to it. Our offensive stats for the Eagles. We'll start with the Eagles. 118 yards rushing, 79 of that by Sanders. A little bit of that by Wentz. Wentz was moving the ball. He didn't, after watching on Saturday and you watch Tom Brady, like I watched the game and you watch Tom Brady at 42 years old running the ball a little bit. He actually tried to pull an Elway and try to bull somebody into the end zone. It didn't quite work for him. But, that kind of motivates you a little bit. And I think Wentz watched that game a little bit as well. And he actually knocked some people over, going 6 and 7 yards. He did that 3 or 4 times yesterday. And I was actually fairly impressed that he came to play. He was definitely not going to let anybody else take it from him. He was going to do it himself, and he did. So he actually had a great game. 118 yards rushing. Like I said, 79 by Sanders. Sanders had a really good day yesterday. That last run for like 30-some yards, everybody wanted him to take it to the house. He's being respectful, because he's going to have to play them for a long time. So you don't go running it into the house because you got to play him again next year. As much as we love it as fans, we want to make sure to stick it to Dallas as often as we can. He knows better, and like I said, just slid, and that game was over. Eagles win. So that was a great way to end the game. Passing, 319 yards. The receiving yards went through for 319. That was a great day. I tell you, Wentz, all told, had a fantastic day. 31 for 40. I mean, that's 40 passes is a lot. But the run wasn't working very well, except for Sanders. So they went back to that screenplay, and that screenplay worked a lot of the time. And I tell you, when it wasn't working, it was open most of the time. So that wheel route is definitely the one thing that we have going for us. And I know that they don't want to go to it all the time because then everybody's going to start playing the wheel route. So they definitely holding off on it a little bit. I like it. I said it's open all of the time. Every time that it seems like Sanders or Boston Scott goes out there, it's open. So you got to throw the ball to somebody else sometimes, and Greg Ward's one of those guys. You got Zach Ertz. You got Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert definitely made a name for himself yesterday. Zach was hurt. I had him on my fantasy team. He only got 6 points on the fantasy, so I wasn't real happy about that. He got laid out on that one. That pass was a little high, and he got definitely a rib shot. He's going to be hurting against the Giants. Hopefully he won't have to play so bad. Broken ribs or cracked ribs hurt for a little bit of time. I know if any of you guys have ever had a hurt rib, you know that anytime you sneeze or cough or laugh, it hurts. That's what he's going to be going through right now. So, Miss Hurts, leave him alone for a little bit. Let him rest up. We got a playoff run to go through. So, anyways, but Wentz, fantastic day. 108.2 quarterback rating. That's a fantastic rating. We've been only doing like 75, 80, 90. He's been doing it all himself. A lot of drops, a lot of guys and not being open. Let's think about who we got on our team right now. We have a guy who was a second-round draft pick who really couldn't sniff the field until week 13. We have a guy who was on our practice squad. He was a quarterback in college. And then you got a guy who was fast and played for the Redskins. That's our 3 receivers. And you got Ertz, who gets hurt. His favorite target is gone at the end of in the middle of the first quarter. He ain't had nobody to throw it to, and they still were able to make it happen. That's somebody who knows what he's doing. They said they had a good game plan for this, and they were able to execute well enough. Dallas gave it to us a little bit. I feel like they dropped them balls a couple of times. I tell you, I want to say, at least 2 or 3 plays that the guy just dropped the ball. One of them specifically, I know, it was going to be a touchdown had he caught it. And he just, I don't know. I could catch that ball. He didn't catch the ball. I guess they weren't real happy about it. It's like I don't know if it was alligator arms or whatever, but I tell you, he dropped that ball, and I'm like, whoa, that was a bad drop by them. Anyways, time of possession, 36 minutes of time of possession. And the first half alone, Dallas only had the ball for 9 minutes. I wrote it down. I had to make sure. 9 minutes and 13 seconds. 9 minutes and 13 seconds. The Eagles had the ball for close to 21 minutes in the first half. That's unheard of. That is not something that you typically see. It's like when you have the ball, you got to give it up sometimes. We only scored 10 points in the first half. So it wasn't like we were scoring and going on long drives. We were going on long drives, and you know what they did a lot of? A lot of 3 and outs. 3 for 13 on third down, or 3 for 14 on third down. That was amazing by the defense. Getting off the field on third down definitely helped that. That's one of those things that didn't happen in game 1, did happen yesterday, and it happened all day long. They could not really convert on third down, except maybe 1 or 2 of them, and that's a good testament to Schwartz. And I don't ever talk a lot about Schwartz. In fact, I kind of feel a little bit like he's sometimes to blame from me, because I feel like the coach has a lot to do with it. Yesterday, he gets kudos from me. He actually had a good game plan and stuck with that game plan. And although we're not getting to Dak very much, the rush was able to stay consistent, and he was able to make sure that the guys were able to block the ball, including Mr. Sidney Jones. Where was he at for a long time? He came up with a big play yesterday, too. I'd like to see that. He don't get a game ball from me for it because he only came on for 1 play. But I tell you, it was a very good play, and he's going to need a little bit more of that. It's time these young kids start to take advantage of the situation they got, because Darby got hurt. Sounds like he's going to be out for a little bit. So now it's time for Sidney Jones to act like the first-round pick we thought we stole when I got him. He was hurt. It's been a full year now. Now he's back. That knee should be feeling good. It's time for him to be able to make the cuts and do the things he was supposed to do. He had been out of football for a year and a half when he finally came back, and he wasn't doing so well in the beginning of the season. Now it's the end of the season. Now he's had a full year of watching film and practicing on the practice field and making sure to keep up with these guys. And it's time for him to start to come through. And he started that yesterday by making a really good play towards the end of the game. Anyways, let's talk about Dallas for a little bit. 54 yards rushing. Where was Zeke? Nowhere. He didn't go anywhere. He had a couple of runs for like 9 yards, 10 yards maybe, but that was it. He didn't go nowhere. And that was a great play. That was great by the defensive line. I tell you, Fletcher Cox, he was a little hurt towards the end, kept going back in. He went under the tent and came out and was he came out of that tent flying, saying, all right, I'm ready to go back in. Wound up only being for one play that he missed, and going back out there. Then he got hurt again. You can tell he was still a little bit hurt. They said they weren't getting as much of a push. Dallas has got one of the best defensive lines in the league, or offensive lines in the league. And they didn't get a lot to Dak. Dak got only 2 sacks, and he had a little bit of time back there. But everybody else was doing their job. So there was no, when they were open, when they were really open, they were dropping the ball. When they were somewhat open, he was throwing behind them. And when it was actually really good coverage, there was a couple of plays that they were really good coverage, and they just actually made plays a little bit. So I don't know how many times I watch a defender knock a ball away. That's what you're supposed to do. Knock the ball away. And it was a couple of times. Bam, bam. And even when they tried to, even when you thought, we thought that maybe Jerry slipped another $100, $200 into the ref's pocket at the very end of the game when they were reviewing it, saying, hey, this may have been pass interference, and they're reviewing that. And then they come back on the field and say, no, Jerry, you didn't give us enough money. We're going to say that it was a good play. So, and it wound up being great. You know what I mean? So I know I'm busting Jerry Jones's balls here a little bit, because they seem to always get the calls. But truth of the matter was, everybody was thinking the same exact thing, that they were going to come back. And even though it looked pretty clean, that they were going to come back and say that it was pass interference, the ball's on the 1-yard line. But it didn't happen that way. And that was something, that was a good testament, again, to the fact that that was great coverage and there wasn't any pass interference on that play. And that's not something that happens very often with the Eagles. Usually we'll get their hands in there, or we'll jostle them a little bit. That was actually a great play by Sidney Jones. Anyways, 265 receiving yards. Let's see, Dak went 25 for 44 for 265. He didn't throw for any touchdowns, only had a 74.5 quarterback rating. I mean, that's very average. That's very average. I'm tired of hearing about Dak being the better quarterback. Dak's got the better, better everything. All the statistics. He's thrown for 4,600 yards, 4,599 for the season so far, not 4,600. I ain't going to give it to him. But anyways, he's thrown for 4,600 yards so far this season. He's got all these touchdowns and a small amount of interceptions. You know what? He's 7-8. He's 7-8. They're not going to have a winning season this year. They're not. It's ours. NFC East is ours to lose. So if we happen to lay an egg up in New York, then that's our fault. But Dak is not going to win the NFC East this year on his merits. Everything that he's been doing this year has all been in garbage time. So they've been either up a lot and doing, and running the ball, and they get to throw a little bit here and there, or it's been in garbage time playing catch up. So I don't want to hear about Dak being such a better quarterback. He's not. Wentz actually proved himself. He doesn't have to even. Let's go back when the last time you heard about receivers like this. Let's talk about back in, I want to say 2002, 2003, when you got Thrash, and then whoever else was there, because there wasn't nobody else there. You had nobody else that I can even remember from any wide receiver there, because they all stunk. PU. That's why we had to get Terrell Owens. You know what I mean? So this is kind of the same situation, except these receivers are hungry and they're on a good team. So this is how playoff runs start. This is how things happen. And we're now on a 3-game winning streak. Next week it becomes 4. On Sunday it becomes 4, and then after that it becomes 5. And then we go to the away playoff game, and then we'll start talking about that in a little bit. But anyways, 1 turnover. Thank you, Pollard, for going ahead and coming into the game. You had 2 plays. One of them, you fumbled the ball. And I tell you, it was fast. And they were going to give you the ball back. They weren't even going to do it. Thank God they pulled out that red flag and used it. And that's not something that happens very much for the Eagles as well. Normally we pull out that flag and we're usually losing a timeout. Not this time. They actually gave the ball to us. We had the clear recovery. Unlike back a year ago when we got that clear recovery, there was all these Eagles around. We come around running with the ball on the kickoff, and they said, oh, no, there wasn't a clear recovery. So Dallas gets the ball back, and they wound up winning that game in overtime. So don't think I won't forget they gave that back to us. Possession arrow is still on our side, for next year, Dallas. So don't think that you guys now, it goes back to you. Like I said, we got that ball fair and square. Anyways, 17-9. No touchdowns. Zeke, no touchdowns. Only field goals. That's a good defensive day to actually hold them under 10 points. We've seen this score before, 17-9. That was against Seattle. Seattle had 17 and we had the 9. So it's good to see it back on the other way, where we are actually win this game. That's what I'm talking about. Dallas sucks.
Yep, sure do.
Game balls. First one has got to go to Wentz. 31 for 40 for 319 yards. He did have that one forced fumble that he happened to fall right on. So I had to mention it because he still has that little bit of problem. The ball's got to stay in his hands. But he had a great day yesterday. Only threw for 1 touchdown, 108.2 quarterback rating. That's a pretty good day for quarterbacks. There was one quarterback who did have a better day than him yesterday. I'll bring him up here in a little bit because he plays for the Giants. That's pick 6 Daniel Jones. We'll go over his stats from yesterday in a little bit. But like I said, Wentz yesterday had a great day playing. Like I said, with receivers, one's a quarterback, one is one hasn't shown up all season long. Had a couple of good catches to start out the game. And then, like I said, that you got our tight ends. His favorite receiver is hurt in like the first couple plays of the game. Goes to his second tight end, and he was able to make something happen yesterday. Which goes to after Sanders. Sanders had 79 yards rushing and a touchdown, and 77 yards receiving. That's a lot of yards, for the day. That's over 150 yards for the day. If you remember, last week I gave him a game ball for the 2 weeks. He had only 163 yards rushing and a couple of yards receiving. So he almost matched that from last week. So he's averaging about 150 to 160 yards a week. And that's a great That's a great running back. That's what you want out of your running back. A lot of yardage. Boston Scott didn't really play much of part yesterday. He played more in the kick returns. He did have a couple of kick returns where he was able to break a couple of tackles, get it back us up to the 35 instead of starting off at the 25-yard line or anything like that. So he was able to get some scrimmage yards. But yesterday, when it came from behind the line of scrimmage, that was all Sanders most of the day. So, Dallas Goedert. I'm sure Dallas has got a thing about playing against the Cowboys. They showed something at the link yesterday where it was like this nice little thing where they're showing this thing, and it's like Virtual Health has got this thing where they went after Dallas Goedert, and they're showing him with his family, and he says he's got this shirt. He wears this shirt every day, when he plays in the games, and he wanted his parents to sign it. Then his father signs it, and does whatever, and then his mother signs it and has a nice little moment, says, I love you, whatever, because I love you too, and then he gives like a nod to the father. Father was always a Cowboys fan, so I can imagine that was the reason why. That was the reason why they called him Dallas. You know what? Dallas Goedert was never a Cowboys fan, and he's got a little thing, a chip on his shoulder every time he plays the Cowboys, and he showed it yesterday. 91 yards received, 9 receptions, 91 yards receiving, and a touchdown. He actually had a great day yesterday, and he was banging people when he wasn't doing it. He was blocking people. He kind of looked like the tight end that's supposed to be on the other side. He was blocking people and pushing them back a yard and then going off on his route. That's the one thing Witten has done all of his life. He's been able to get the guy and move him off the line of scrimmage, then go off onto his route. It blocks the one guy, make sure that he's now a second or two later to get back into Dak, and then he'd go off on the route, and he's open because nobody's covered because he feels like he's blocking. Dallas was able to do the same thing yesterday, and it was very, very similar to what Witten has done his entire career. And I don't think I didn't notice it. I was paying attention because I was at the game if you guys didn't notice yesterday. And the last game ball, I gotta give to Schwartz. Like I said, I don't really give the kudos to coaches much because they don't play the game. But Schwartz was the guy. He deserved a game ball yesterday. The best offense in the league was held to only 319 total yards. 319 total yards. Actually, I was told it was 311 total yards because I added the receptions and whatever. Truth of the matter was that there was a couple of sacks for 8 yards lost. So it was only 311 yards of total offense that Dallas was able to do. And that all came from scheme. It wasn't like they were getting too much pressure on Dak. I mean, they only gave him like 4 quarterback hits. So it wasn't anything that was beyond scope. You know, he had a plan, he executed that plan, and the guys were able to do exactly what they needed him to do, and he came out as a winner. Only letting up 9 points. You know, every time Zeke plays us, it was over 100 yards, just about. I mean, he got that 96, so it's over 96 yards plus, you know, and he would get all those yards. Zeke didn't do much yesterday, so he didn't have 100 yards from scrimmage yesterday, and that is a testament to Schwartz, and he deserved the game ball for that. So that was a big deal. So I tell you, you can tell my voice is hoarse today. I mean, I was yelling and screaming and carrying on. By the end of the day, I was all excited. I was walking around with the Cowboy Superfans, and we took a tour. We started our day off. I was down there at like 9:30 in the morning. I was on ESPN. I tell you, the guys from ESPN had me running around all over the place. Hey, we want you here. We want you here. We want you here. And then the Dallas Cowboys Superfans showed up. And we, like I said, all right, now we want you guys all here. We want you guys all here. And it was all a lot of fun. At the end of the game, I met up with them. And we went and took another tour of Xfinity Live. I had to protect them then. Because I tell you, the younger Eagles fans definitely got a little bit rowdy. You know, now these guys are not big, not small guys. These guys are pretty big guys. They could definitely handle themselves. But I was happy all day yesterday. All the Eagles fans throughout the stadium were nice to the Cowboys fans. And within reason. Obviously, they needed to hear how much pride we have in our team. There's no fights in the stands. There's nothing that happened. And that's a good job, Philadelphia. I'm proud of you. You don't need it to hear from me, but listen, it's a big deal. The national media was there. We were the game of the week, and everybody was paying attention, and there was no problems whatsoever across the board, and that's a good thing for Philadelphia because I'm tired of hearing about it from the national media that Philly sucks and our fan base sucks. We got a good fan base, and we're loud and proud and strong, and we want to do our thing. And yeah, we didn't bother anybody, and all the Dallas fans that I saw were all taken care of and treated fairly well. Like I said, they got the asshole chants, they got yelled and screamed at, by going by. But for the most part, like I said, Philadelphia kept their hands in their pockets and didn't lay a hand on no Dallas fan. We got to yell and scream and carry on, and that's what good fans actually do, and that's what you're supposed to do. Anyways, let's get moving again. So what's going on? As you see, my first question is, will Jordan Howard play again? That answer is yes. They just dropped Ajayi. Jay Ajayi was dropped like literally about an hour ago. So now they said they had to drop him because Jordan Howard is coming back. And I'm very excited to see that. I tell you, when I was saying, well, will we see him play again? I was unsure if we were going to see him play again in an Eagles uniform. But now I'm happy. I'm happy that he's going to be back. And I tell you, I hope they just ease him back in a little bit for against the Giants, and then we go crushing people in the playoffs because we're ready to do a playoff run here. I can feel it. It's time. And nobody wants to play Philadelphia, especially in week number 1. Minnesota is, it looks like Minnesota is going to get a chance to bypass us, and they're going to have to go. We're going to find out tonight if they've got anything going on against the Green Bay Packers. Because I know Green Bay don't want to face us. And I know Minnesota don't want to face us because they stink when they go up against us in the playoffs. Green Bay has got a little bit better record than against us in the playoffs. But I think we got Green Bay's number. So we'll have to see what happens tonight. And then what happens next week on who's going to win. I think if Green Bay wins tonight, they win the NFC Central, and that would mean that the Vikings are the 6th seed, which means that we're going to have either the 49ers or the Seahawks. And we'll have to see. Seahawks had a down game yesterday against the Cardinals. And I tell you, all of these division battles mean something. You can't take day off. And we definitely can't take a day off on Sunday. We got the Giants coming. So, anyways, question number 2. Where's Jake from State Farm? What's going on, Jake? You got paid that money, and next thing I know, you can't seem to kick past 45 yards. 3 times I felt like I had to hear. It was only 2 times. 2 times I had to hear yesterday that the ref saying, hey, any kick over 20 yard, past the 20-yard line goes to where they kicked the ball at. So I want to see you making them kicks. Can't be wide left. Can't be wide right. Got to get it in there. 55 yards. Those field goals could have come in handy, especially, that would have been 6 more points. Would have made a 2-touchdown difference. I understand 8 points is still a lot of points. They needed to score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. But you need to be making them kicks, Jake. You got paid a lot of money. You're here now for 4 years. You better be practicing and making them kicks because they're only going to get more important from here on out. I don't want to see you missing a 55-yard field goal with no time left on this Sunday, and that would be to win the game. You know what I mean? So you were able to kick it from 63 yards. We all know it because that's what started our run in 2017. And in 2018, you actually had a pretty good season. Now, you've been missing kicks a little bit. Time to get back on the horse again, start making them kicks. Are we going to see any rush from the defensive line? Now, I know Dallas has a pretty good team, a pretty good offensive line, and they were able to hold us in check a little bit. Like I said, we only got to the quarterback like four times that we got quarterback hits on Dak. 2 were sacks, 4 extra hits. So 6 times to get to the quarterback is not enough. We're going to need specifically more. And I want to know what's happening. I don't know if it's the stunts that we're doing or maybe it's just a straight bull rush type of thing that's going on so that everybody stays in their lane for the rush, for the run attack, which is why we've been so good against the run. I don't know, but I'd like to see a little bit more push. And I'd like to see us get to the quarterback a little bit better. I'm tired of us not getting there or just missing. Like I said, 2 sacks on Zach, and they were coverage sacks. We weren't getting there. We're not getting free. We're not getting it. Now, I know Brandon Graham was yelling a little bit about getting held, and he was getting held. He seemed like 3 or 4 times he had to bring it to the ref's attention. Yo, ref. I don't know. One time Fletcher Cox looked like he's getting his head pulled off of him as he's trying to go one way, and the offensive guard is pulling his head and his helmet and pulled him away from Dak. The refs are having a really difficult year this year, and especially there was another face mask that they didn't call because that referee doesn't like to call face mask penalties on anybody that plays against the Eagles, but the refs didn't have anything to do yesterday with whether we won or lost, which is good. I'd rather them not play a part in any of the game. But I'd like to see a little bit more rush going on. I don't know why we're not getting up there. Fletcher Cox is getting paid all that money. Brandon Graham's getting paid all that money. And you got Sweat. You got Curry. We got to get in there a little bit more. We need to make more of a push. I want to see us touch the quarterback a little bit more. Anyways. Can the Giants play spoilers? Well, yes. I think that the Giants are able to play spoilers. I don't think they will. I think that they can, though. I think that the Giants are a little hungry to try to win a game against the Eagles. We have beaten them. I don't even know when the last time they won a game against us. It seems like it's probably been like 4 or 5 years. And there's probably a game I'm missing somewhere down that line that didn't matter much of anything. But 2017 they didn't win. 2018 they didn't win. 2016, I guess we could go all the way back to Chip Kelly, when we were running, 150 plays on offense and only had the ball for 7 minutes. Where one of those games we could have, they could have won. But I don't remember that far back because the Chip Kelly era just became a big blur when all that stuff happened. But can they play spoiler? Yes. They got a quarterback who thinks he's something. He's going to try to make a name for himself. And that's going to be their Super Bowl. They ain't had a game. They scored 41 points against the Redskins. I mean, we scored 37 points against the Redskins. They scored a lot of points against Miami. They beat Miami. I know that we lost to Miami, but Miami had to come to New York. That's a whole different thing. It was cold there. It was hot down in Miami. There's a lot of different factors that played into that. So I can imagine that played a part in the fact that they were able to score that many points. I think they've scored 77 points in the last 2 games. Both of those games were wins. So since they played us, and they weren't scoring many points there, they scored 17 against us. They've scored 77 against the Redskins and the Dolphins. And now, I know that we have a little bit better defense than both of those teams. So I would love to hear pick 6, Daniel Jones. Pick 6, Daniel Jones. Pick 6. Just pick. Pick Daniel Jones. I want to hear that all day long on Sunday. So, that's coming. Were Jeffrey and Aguilar a cancer? So, I've been thinking about this, and I read all the texts and the tweets that Nelson Aguilar was putting out daily. Or like yesterday, every single play he was texting or tweeting or doing something. And so it makes me think a little bit that he wants to get back onto the field. That he's definitely, he needed to get a little bit of hunger back. I needed to see kind of, what it's like. He needed to miss the game for a minute. I can't say that he's a cancer. I can't say that Jeffrey's a cancer, although Jeffrey's caused a cancer. When he wants to go talking to reporters, he got the girlfriend on the slide, and he wants to go start talking to her, and then she goes and reports something. And of course, we all know it's him because he's the only one that talks to this girl. Everybody else doesn't even bother talking to her. So it could have only been him. So are they a cancer? Maybe they were a little bit of a cancer. Does that mean that cancer can't get cured? Possibly. So we'll have to see. We know that Jeffrey ain't going to be back this year. Nelson Aguilar, I know I said, bye. If you don't want to play here, don't play here. And that's how I feel. If you don't want to play here, don't play here. I don't want to hear about business decisions. I want to hear you go out for that ball. I don't want to see the alligator arms. It's not for who, for what. You want to play here, you play here, and you play Philly way. That's the only way that I want you here. So if you're going to come back, I want you back. But I want you back in the right mindset. And I want you going out for balls. I don't want to hear, oh, my knee hurts. That's the reason why my hands didn't work. I don't want to hear that anymore. I want you to catch the ball. All right? And that's, if you're going to be out there, you see the receivers are catching the ball. You see Ward. Everybody's talking about Ward. They didn't even know how long he's been on the team. You know what I mean? He's been on the team for like 3 years. They didn't even know that. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, yeah. And they all know that he was just a quarterback. I couldn't even tell you what college he went to. Like I said, he hasn't even been there that long. They haven't put that in the program yet. You know what I mean? That he has been here. But he's been making plays. That's what happens when you want to go. When you want the ball, you get the ball. Nelson, you want to come back on the team, and you want to play, you want the ball, you better catch the ball. And I don't want to hear any excuses on why you didn't catch the ball. No knee, no nothing, no my hiney hurts. I don't want to hear about it. It's time for you to catch the ball, and it's playoff time. So we got to make a run. We'll see if you've got the stones. Anyways, can we win the playoffs? I tell you, I believe so. I told you guys a few weeks ago. This was before the Miami game even, that I thought that we're going to win the NFC East, that we're going to win our first playoff game. I thought it would be against Seattle, and then that we would be going to the 49ers. And that when you're in your very first playoff game, that's a very young team over in San Francisco. And they have, only lost, their losses have all come on 3 plays. The very end of the game. Each time they've lost has been in the last 15 seconds of the game. So that's a good team. However, it's going to be their first playoff game. So I think we win our divisional round. And I think then we go out to San Francisco and we could beat them. I think we beat San Francisco. And then, depending on how the other team does against the Saints, that's where I love the fact that the Vikings get to play the Saints. The Vikings could get to play the Saints, or that the Packers could get to play the Saints. Because I think that they would actually match up a little better than we would. However, if we have to go to New Orleans, I'm going to be there again. And you're going to see me there, front and center, doing everything I can to make sure that our Birds win. But I don't think that we match up as well against the Saints as we would do against the Packers or the Vikings or even the 49ers. So, yes, I think we can go on a run here. It'll be nice to see. Because As we go down here, can D-Jack be the key to a Super Bowl run? And that's what's going to make whoever we're playing in the second round of the playoffs the big factor. Like, they're not going to have anything on film from week one. You're going to go all the way back to week one when he played, that one game, and he played a great game. You're going to go back to the 3 other plays that he played all season long. That's going to be the film that you got. We're not going to have any film on us, and we're going to be able to utilize all of that playbook that we haven't been able to utilize all season long. And that's when you're going to see how Wentz is going to play. You want to talk about ball? We're going to be playing ball then. And it's going to be almost like Sandlot ball, where they're going to say, D-Jack, go long. And he's itching to go long. He's been tweeting and putting out his videos, looking like he's ready to move. He's probably ready to come back now. He's just not allowed. You know what I mean? So we get him back in week 2 of the playoffs. All we got to do is make it there. And I think once we make it there, if we're there in the second week of the playoffs and we're going wherever we're going, to the Saints, we're going Saints, whose defense now looks a little sketch. Defense isn't as good as it used to be. They were holding people to, while Breeze wasn't there, they were scoring, making sure that nobody was scoring any points. Now, 49ers scored 40-some points. Even the game they won yesterday, it could have been all garbage points. They scored 28. Tennessee scored 28. The Saints aren't what they used to be. So, can D-Jack help in our Super Bowl? Absolutely. Back to the Super Bowl? No, I'm not being that. But it's on my mind. I'm definitely thinking about it. It's one of those things that I could think actually happened. And it wouldn't be a big surprise if it did. So, anyways. Our Eagle Eye, who's on deck? The Giants. Obviously, we beat them in December 9th. Just a few weeks ago, we beat them 23-17 in overtime. That we won the toss, and we went right down the field and scored the touchdown. And that was a big play, and that's what started this entire run. That's what started us to go on this playoff run. So it started with the Giants. It's going to end with the Giants, and that's how we're going to make it into the playoffs, because the NFC East is ours for the taking. And we knew it going in all season long. Even in the Miami game, even after losing to Miami, it didn't matter. Did not matter. We knew we had to win in the NFC East, and this is it. The NFC East, and we're going where we pull out miracles all the time. So not that I want a miracle. I'd like to see us blow them out. I'd like to see them pack it in at halftime and be like, I don't know what's going on, and then put Eli out there for the last half of the last half of his career in New York. That's what I'd like to see. I want to see that. I'd like to give an applause to Eli Manning as he walks off the field a loser again to the Philadelphia Eagles, because that's what I love most about it. I'm so sad to see him go, because I know how much we beat him. So I'm gonna miss Eli that much. Plus, I know that he also could beat Tom Brady, so I was happy about that a little bit too. So those are the couple of reasons why I like Eli. Lose to the Eagles, can beat Tom Brady. Anyway, those are the 2 things that he had going for him. Anyways, he's had a good career. You know what I mean? He won 2 Super Bowls. Great for him. Both the defense won at that time, and they had that weirdo catch where he caught it on his helmet. You know what I mean? Against the Patriots. I mean, all those things step aside. You know what I mean? He had a pretty good career. Yeah, and ultimately, I'd like to see him end his career against the Eagles, walking off the field with another loss. And that's how I think that would be only fitting, for Philadelphia to be able to do that. But since we played that, Rook, Daniel Jones, 6'6", Daniel Jones. I loved it when I was at the draft, and the first thing I got to do was I got to interview a Giants fan. And I asked about how he felt about pick 6, Daniel Jones. And he said, well, I think that we could have gotten him much later. That was the first thing that he said. That was, I don't know. I guess the numbers could be what the numbers could be. But realistically, that they could have been picked later. And he's probably right. He probably could have been picked in the second, maybe even the third round. Because last time I heard, Duke didn't really have a good football team. So, but the quarterback's a quarterback. First game he ever played, came back against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Nobody had ever come back on the Giants team from 21 down. Eli, his entire career, never came back from 21 down. This kid's first game comes back from 21 down against the Buccaneers, mind you. So Jameis Winston, was pooping the bed again. And that's, one of the things why the Giants was able to come back. But realistically, hey, good for the kid. He won that first game. He hasn't won much since then, but he did win he did win yesterday against the Redskins, and he actually had a pretty good day. 28 for 42, 352 yards, no turnovers, no interceptions, no fumbles, no nothing, and 132.1 quarterback rating. 132.1 quarterback rating. I mean, that's like Joe Montana stuff. Now, they scored all their points this week, so I don't expect them to score a lot this week. They go all those points against the Redskins, and now they're going to be playing against the Eagles. And the Eagles also know what's at stake here. I don't believe that there's going to be a letdown. This is the Giants, and it's the division game. The one thing that, we beat the Dallas Cowboys, and the fans hate the Dallas Cowboys. The players hate the Giants. So they don't like Dallas, but they feel differently about the Giants. When you talk to old Giants players, they just still don't like the Eagles. You look at Strahan. Strahan hates the Eagles. He didn't want to hear about any coach going from the Eagles. In fact, they love stealing our players. They love stealing our coaches. They definitely have, they definitely are got Philly envy. They've always had Philly envy. Even when they're winning Super Bowls, they had Philly envy. And they still can't beat us. And I think that that's going to hold true this week. But like I said, you got a new quarterback there, and with the new quarterback comes maybe a new idea about how things are supposed to happen. So it's going to take a smackdown. Like I said, I'd like for him to be out the first half, Eli coming in the second half, and end his career with a loss against the Eagles. They've won 2 straight. As I've said, they've scored 77 points in 2 games. I mean, that's probably more than they've scored in like 5 and 6 games all season long. I know that since that game where they came back from 21 points down against Tampa Bay, they have not scored a lot of points in the meantime. So they've had a couple of good plays here and there. Maybe a couple of good games where they scored a couple of points. Obviously, they only scored 17 points against the Eagles. Our defense has not been able to travel well yet. So this is going to be a good time for us to see. When you got Ronald Darby, he's going to be out. Looks like he's not going to play for the rest of the season. Mills is day to day. Crevon LeBlanc didn't make the field yesterday. Sidney Jones did though, and he looked pretty good for the couple of plays that he was out there for. So maybe it's time for those guys to step up. The next man up mentality come in. And I tell you, Jenkins has turned the switch on. I know I was on him in the middle of the season. That switch has turned on. And it's actually, it's now, I see the fire back. He knows it's that time of year, it's playoff time, and he wants to win another Super Bowl because he knows he wins another Super Bowl, then there's a paycheck at the end of that. You know what I mean? Because he's playing under, he's the last year of his contract, and the Eagles kind of told him, hey, we're going to take care of you, we're going to take care of you, we're going to take care of you. And he had a little bit of a weak season. Now it's game time. Now it's time to really turn it on, and he's turned it on. He's turned that corner, and that's good to see. Like I said, that's part of the reason why the defense has been coming on strong lately. So I'm hoping that switch stays on against the Giants. I'd love to see a couple of picks. I haven't seen an interception here in a long time. I know that we finally had our first pick six a few weeks ago. It was like the first time that we had a pick six since 2017 or something like that. It's time again. We got pick six Daniel Jones. It's in his name. That's what we're talking about. He's got that definitely thing going on. So it's definitely time for us to go ahead and turn it on and get ready for the playoffs, because I'm not sure if it's going to be the Vikings, because I believe if Seattle loses and the Vikings win, the Vikings could wind up with the 5th seed and Seattle would wind up with the 6th seed. As of right now, Seattle's got the 5th seed and going up against, like I said, if the Vikings lose today, if the Vikings don't hold serve and Green Bay beats them tonight, then they're going to definitely have the 6th seed. And whoever wins against the 49ers and Seattle next week is going to have the number 2 seed. If Seattle 49ers win, they can win the number 1 seed. If Seattle wins, they'll have the number 2 seed. And I think Green Bay or Minnesota will only have the number 3 seed, and we're going to be the 4th seed after we beat the Giants and get that confirmed. Anyways, like I said, I've done a lot of talking. It's been a lot of things to say. And the last thing is, my final thoughts are the Eagles and Giants. Everybody's been asking me. I've gotten a number of messages. Am I running a trip up to the Giants? And unfortunately, I didn't have the tickets. I had to start. I did my trip at the very beginning of the year. However, Joe from the Fans of Philly said, listen, if you want to go on the trip, let's go on this trip. Let's get everybody together. He's got 3 buses going. We're going to leave from the Jetro lot, early in the day. It's a 4:30 game. They flex these games. So the Cowboys and the Eagles are both going to be playing at 4:25. So we're going to have some time to be able to tailgate down there, up in New York. We're going to be able to beat up these New York fans before we even get into the stadium, because I don't even think there's going to be many of them left. So, but anyways, we're going to be leaving from the Jetro lot down there in Philly. So, and it's a luxury bus, so they got bathrooms. So all that beer drinking, all the Bloody Marys we're going to be drinking, we're going to be able to use the bathroom up there. There's going to be 3 buses. It's going to be a lot of people. We're talking about 150 tickets. Tickets are in the upper level, so we're not going to be down in the lower bowl. We're up all together, though. It's one of the things that I'm real big on. I want to make sure that we're sitting next to all the other Eagles fans. And if we're going to have a group up there, we can be loud in our section. And don't worry, I can bring my voice. It'll be back by next week, as you know, because I bring it every day of every game, every play. Go Birds. Anyways, game's at 4:25. Tickets are $185. You can go to the Fans of Philly website, fansofphilly.com. He's got a whole bunch of different trips up there, but you're going to want to go to the one that looks like the old-time Eagles. It's going to look like this right here, as you can see, the Fans of Philly, because he's got some Sixers trips. He's got some Flyers trips. He's working on the Phillies trips, so they got a whole bunch of stuff going on. So it's definitely a great site that you want to do. And I tell you, he runs a 5-star operation. When I went down to Buffalo, and I went out there with him, everybody raved about the type of trips that he throws. And this guy is an Eagles fan just like us. He runs a business, but he's an Eagles fan. So he knows exactly what it is that makes us tick. And we definitely, if you want to go on a trip, he's a good guy to go on a trip with. So I'm saying, let's all go up to New York. Let's all let them know that we're going to be there, and we're there supporting our team to make sure, because we win, we're in. And then it's time for the playoffs. Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So, anyways, I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. I also want to give a great shout out to Giovanni. Giovanni, I know, they said it was awesome to hear that everything was a success. I know that it was a tough day that day, but you were up and you were watching the Birds win the game yesterday, and I'm so glad to hear that, Giovanni. I wish you all the best in the upcoming year. I hope everything works out fantastically for you. I want to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas. And like I said, our Christmas presents came a little early. The Eagles gave us that win against the Cowboys, so that was definitely like a big bow. And that star on the Christmas tree, we knocked that shit off. We didn't even want to see it up there. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about, because we got our own bird up there flying high. That's what's on the top of that tree. You know, because we're flying high, and the Cowboys, PU, they're stinking it up the joint. So anyways, next week we go and we take it in New York. What better place than to watch Eli Manning walking off the field for the last time with an NFC championship on our backs? You know what I mean? That's what I'd love to see. So anyways, again, everybody have a very Merry Christmas and a safe holidays. And we'll be back here next week talking about our playoffs, Because that's right, we're going to the playoffs, baby. I know it. I feel it. I'm there. We're going to be there, and we're taking it. Dallas sucks, and now everybody knows it. Everybody across the NFL knows Dallas sucks, that they ain't doing it this year because the Birds are back, baby, and we're about to go on this playoff run. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles! Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Go Birds!